Right now, millions of families who believed they had done everything right are quietly losing ground. They went to college, bought homes, saved for retirement, and paid their taxes faithfully. Yet somehow, despite playing by every rule, something is slipping away and most of them cannot even name what it is. If you are in the middle class, this video could be the most important financial warning you ever hear. Stay with us through all 5 points, because the last one catches almost everyone completely off guard. And if you want more content like this, please subscribe right now. We cover the financial truth they never teach in school. Economic collapse does not arrive with sirens and warning lights for ordinary working families. It sneaks in slowly, dressed as inflation, layoffs, medical bills, and rising interest rates. By the time most middle-class households realize what is happening, the damage is already done. History shows a consistent pattern. The middle class does not lose everything at once. Instead, 5 specific pillars of financial security erode first, quietly and in a predictable order. Understanding this order could be the difference between surviving a downturn and being permanently left behind. According to the Pew Research Center, the middle class has already shrunk from 61% of US adults in 1971 to just 50% by 2021. That is a stunning collapse of the economic backbone of an entire nation, and it continues today. The first thing the middle class loses during an economic collapse is home equity. For most middle-income families, the home is not just where they live, it is where their wealth lives too. Research shows that housing made up roughly 2/3 of all middle-class wealth in the mid-2000s. Wealthier families kept 90% of their assets in stocks and financial securities, not in real estate. That structural difference meant middle-class families were 7 times more exposed to the housing collapse than the wealthy. When the 2008 financial crisis hit, home equity losses exceeded 34% across racial and ethnic groups. According to urban economists, 12 million households found themselves underwater on their mortgages, owing more than the home was actually worth. Many had no choice but to default, and with each foreclosure, years of carefully built wealth simply vanished overnight. The Federal Reserve estimated that household wealth declined nearly $17 trillion in inflation-adjusted terms between 2007 and 2009, yet only about 2/5 of that staggering loss had been recovered even by early 2012. The cruel irony is that the wealthy who kept most assets in stocks saw markets rebound within a year. The S&P 500 rose 60% in real terms from its 2009 low to the end of 2010. Rewarding financial asset holders quickly. Meanwhile, middle-class homeowners waited years. Some never recovered at all, proving that housing wealth is the most vulnerable wealth of all. The second thing the middle class loses is stable, well-paying employment. Middle-class jobs are not random casualties of recession. They are specifically targeted by economic downturns. During the Great Recession, the unemployment rate climbed to a devastating 10% by October 2009. The Bureau of Labor Statistics confirmed that 40% of all American households experienced direct financial distress during this period. That distress included unemployment, mortgage payment, arrears, foreclosure, or significant retirement savings loss. Manufacturing and mid-skill industries, which historically formed the backbone of middle-class employment, contracted sharply. As economist Lester Thurow identified decades ago, high-tech industries replacing smokestack industries tend to offer only high-wage and low-wage positions. The middle-wage jobs that once sustained entire communities disappeared, leaving a growing gap between the secure and the struggling. Small businesses, which employ approximately 50% of the private sector workforce, were particularly devastated. During the COVID-19 recession, surveys showed that a majority of small businesses feared they might never reopen. Job loss does more than cut income, it cascades into insurance loss, retirement contribution gaps, and destroyed credit scores. Middle-class workers, unlike the wealthy, cannot absorb prolonged unemployment because they hold little liquid savings as a buffer. Research from Fortune magazine showed that fewer Americans were earning as much as they were spending even before the downturn accelerated. Once job stability goes, the entire financial structure of a middle-class household starts to unravel with terrifying speed. The third casualty during economic collapse is retirement security, and this wound rarely heals fully. Middle-income families depend heavily on retirement accounts to supplement Social Security in their later years. But during economic downturns, these accounts become emergency funds by necessity, raided out of pure survival. During the Great Recession, the number of families with retirement accounts fell to 0.6%, erasing virtually all gains made between 2004 and 2007. Median retirement account holdings also fell 6.6%, compounding the setback for families already fighting to stay afloat. Critically, the largest decline in retirement account ownership was concentrated precisely among middle-income families, not the poor, not the rich. Research from the Economic Opportunity Institute confirmed that middle-class median income dropped nearly 8% during the crisis. It fell from approximately $49,600 to just $45,800, leaving families with both less income and depleted retirement reserves simultaneously. A 2024 study from the Urban Institute revealed something even more alarming. The lower middle class has never fully recovered from 2008. Even 16 years later, their retirement resources remain below pre-crisis 2006 values, a lost generation of savings with no path to recovery. Those who withdrew retirement funds during the crisis to pay bills missed the market's eventual recovery entirely. That double punishment, withdrawal losses plus missed gains, creates a retirement deficit that can never be mathematically repaired. Workers in the middle class may be forced to work longer, adding health risks and reducing their quality of life in later years. The retirement crisis is not a future event for millions of middle-class Americans. It is already quietly here. The fourth thing that evaporates for the middle class during economic collapse is purchasing power. Purchasing power is the ability to actually buy the life you have earned, and it vanishes faster than most people expect. The middle-class squeeze is defined by wages failing to keep pace with inflation, while the top 1% continues to gain ground. According to Wikipedia's summary of census data, the proportion of families in the middle-income bracket fell from 65% in 1970 to 58% by 1985. That decline happened primarily because wages grew slower than the costs of housing, healthcare, and education, the three essentials of middle-class life. Prices for housing, healthcare, and education have consistently risen faster than middle-class incomes for decades. According to Federal Reserve economists, insurance premiums alone rose nearly 50% in the decade leading up to the 2020s, while deductibles climbed even faster than wages. Tuition at public universities has more than tripled since 1980, trapping over 43 million Americans under $1.7 trillion in student loan debt. That mountain of debt delays homeownership, delays family formation, and delays savings, essentially robbing the next generation of middle-class entry points. Credit card reliance becomes a survival strategy, not a choice. A Primerica survey found that over a third of middle-income Americans saw their credit card debt rise within just 3 months. Less than one-third were paying off their cards in full each month, meaning debt compounds on debt with every passing statement. The Center for American Progress found that declining purchasing power of the middle class creates less demand for goods and services throughout the broader economy. Giving $1 to a middle-income household produces nearly 3 times more economic activity than giving that dollar to a wealthy household. When middle-class purchasing power collapses, it does not just hurt individual families, it shrinks the entire economy they depend upon. The fifth and perhaps most devastating loss is access to quality healthcare, the invisible wall that traps families in financial decline. Healthcare and economic security are inseparably linked for the middle class, yet this connection is rarely discussed honestly. When jobs are lost, employer-sponsored health insurance disappears with them, leaving millions suddenly exposed to catastrophic medical costs. During the COVID-19 recession, more than half of adults who lost income or contracted the virus struggled with medical bills. According to the Commonwealth Fund, national per capita healthcare spending was roughly $2,968 in inflation-adjusted $1,980. By 2020, it had quadrupled to over $12,000 per person. A systematic review of European recessions published in PMC found that healthcare accessibility inequalities increased sharply by socioeconomic level during downturns in country after country. People with lower incomes reduced their use of healthcare services, not because they needed less care, but because they could no longer afford it. In Greece and Portugal, declining household income directly reduced the ability to pay for medications and out-of-pocket healthcare expenses. In the United States, the increasing prevalence of high-deductible health plans means more of the financial risk falls directly onto patients, especially middle-class ones. An analysis in the New England Journal of Medicine warned that the healthcare industry, long considered recession-proof, had become deeply vulnerable. The shift toward high-cost-sharing insurance plans created cracks in coverage that widened dramatically during economic downturns. Middle-class families facing illness during a recession encounter a brutal double threat: lost income, and rising medical costs arriving at the exact same moment. Medical debt has become one of the leading causes of bankruptcy in the United States, hitting families who did everything right but got sick at the wrong time. Long-term care costs ranging from $50,000 to $100,000 per year now threaten to outlast the savings of even carefully prepared retirees. These 5 losses, home equity, job security, retirement savings, purchasing power, and healthcare access, do not happen in isolation. Each one accelerates the others, creating a downward spiral that can erase decades of careful, disciplined financial work. The wealthy are not immune from economic collapse, but their asset diversification, heavy in stocks and financial securities, allows faster recovery. The middle class, concentrated in housing and dependent on employment income, loses more in percentage terms and recovers far more slowly. History has proven this with brutal consistency. After the Great Recession, between 2007 and 2011, 1 in 4 American families lost at least 75% of their wealth. More than half of all families lost at least 25% of their wealth in just 4 years, wealth that had taken entire lifetimes to accumulate. The good news is that awareness is the beginning of preparation. Knowing which dominoes fall first means you can reinforce them before the storm arrives. Diversifying beyond home equity, building liquid emergency reserves, protecting retirement accounts, reducing debt, and securing health coverage are not luxuries. They are survival tools. Economic history does not repeat exactly, but it rhymes. The middle class that prepared before the downturn fared dramatically better than those who were caught unprepared. The American dream was never about being rich, it was about stability, security, and opportunity. All 3 are worth fighting to protect. Now we want to hear from you. Which of these 5 threats worries you the most right now? Are you already feeling the squeeze in housing costs, job instability, retirement savings, shrinking purchasing power, or rising healthcare bills? Drop your answer in the comments below. Your perspective matters, and it helps us create the content that is most useful to you. If this video gave you something to think about, please subscribe to this channel right now so you never miss a financial insight that could change your future. The information in this video is backed by research from Pew, the Federal Reserve, the IMF, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and leading economic institutions. Share this with someone in your life who needs to hear it, because the best financial protection any of us has is knowledge.